Your opinion is wrong.
Jeez, Banana, shut your friggin' gob, okay?
10 anime that were bouncing around in Steve's brain meat on December 22nd, ranked from 10th to 1st place. Enjoy. Dominion Tank Police, an anime that is dear to my heart. I love this anime unconditionally. I don't care what anybody says about it. I just love it. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But it is actually a pretty good anime. Anyway, created by Masamune Shiro. If that name sounds familiar, it should. He's the one who created Ghost in the Shell. The story is based around a Earth that is covered in a pollution cloud, a huge cloud that covers the whole Earth. It's bacterial based. You can't be outside for for extended periods of time without a face mask. I know, kind of sounds familiar, right? So human beings are used to living like this, and in the anime, it focuses on the city of Newport, Japan, and there is a strange hospital in the city that a small group of criminals and the tank police converge on. And by converging on this one little hospital, they discover that there may be a cure to the bacterial pollution cloud. So that's the whole premise of the anime. Now, the characters involved are the criminals are the ringleaders. Baku, he has two henchwomen, Puma girls, Anna Puma and Una Puma, cat ladies who like to do striptease and then devolve into unmitigated violence to solve their problems. You just have to watch. And the tank police, who also solve their problems with unmitigated violence, only with tanks, and they have a badge, but they commit huge amounts of property damage and are always getting in trouble. So it's a kind of a comedy action anime. You have a plucky little character by the name of Leona, who joins the tank police from being a meter maid to being a tank driver, and she commands a tank, destroys it, and gets it destroyed, and rebuilds it as a smaller tank, something that she can handle. She calls it Napoleon. It's her own little thing. And mass chaos, property destruction, and the hunt for the cure of the bacterial cloud ensues. An easy weekend watch. Some things to note are that the characters Baku and the Puma Girls actually have cameos in the Ghost in the Shell movie. Okay, at number 9 is going to be Fully Cooley, but only the first season. This is a Gainax creation, actually in part with a bunch of other production companies, but it's definitely got the Gainax stamp to it. It's only 6 episodes long. It came out to America in, I believe, 2003, part of Adult Swim, and it is just an eclectic little anime. Everything about it feels new, especially when you're watching it for the first time back in 2003. The animation is crisp, it's clear, it's very action. There's a lot of movement going on. The main character is he's kind of like Shinji from Evangelion, but he actually has the ability to determine things for himself. He's not just some weird emo kid in a room full of people doing the slow clap. He's just a 12-year-old boy trying to make his way through these weird things that are happening. This woman from outer space, Haruka, comes down and sees him as a portal to get to this space pirate called Atomisk that she's wanting to hook up with. And so the 6 episode series is about her dealing with him and kind of almost playing on his emotions. And it's about him kind of finding first love, dealing with concepts of bullying. A girl that a weird older girl who kind of hangs out with him is a victim of bullying. There is great mecha. Kanti, a great robot that comes out that merges Naota. Naota is the main character. And they destroy things, and they fight battles, and they fight human agencies that are trying to capture Haruka. And Medical Mechanica, which is trying to destroy the Earth. And there's it's so much is jam-packed into 6 episodes, it's almost hard to describe. You really have to watch it, and you just sit back and enjoy the ride. One of the great things about this, about Fooly Cooly, the first season, and actually for the entire franchise, is that the Pillows do all the music for it. And particularly for season 1, the music is amazing. I encourage you to go out and buy their stuff. The Pillows is a really good group. At number 8, we have the great, outstanding franchise of Lupin III. Lupin III is the great-great-grandson of Arsène Lupin, the great French gentleman thief. Lupin is much in the way of his great-grandfather, and he is also a master thief, very smart, very agile, very action-oriented. He has a great gang of characters. Fujiko, the love of his life, even though he womanizes with so many other people. Fujiko's his girl. You have a samurai thief. You have Jigen. Who is a marksman, and these cast of characters go running around and they do plots and they're thieves. So they're stealing stuff. They're bad guys, but they also kind of do good as they go along their little robbery spree that spans over decades. This franchise was created by Monkey Punch in the late 60s. The manga is a lot different than the anime, insofar that Lupin is not as likable. But in anime, the anime is just nothing but action, wittiness, fun stuff, and just, it's a great ride. You don't have to think too much about it. There's some great Lupin movies. The franchise itself, as a franchise, is one of the few franchises where I can sit there and say pretty much anything you watch from it is pretty decent, pretty good. Some stuff better than others, like the Castle Cagliostro is better than most of the other Lupin movies, but the Lupin movies are still pretty good. There's a spin-off series called Fujiko Hime, which is actually very adult-oriented, but worth the time to watch. So if you want a good, solid franchise that ages well, because the series started back in the 60s, watch Lupin III. At number 7 is Patlabor, almost the entire franchise, except for the third movie. The third movie wasn't that great. Patlabor is not my first mecha anime series. My first mecha anime series was Macross, but Patlabor is the first mecha that I loved. I love this series. I think it's because it's an approachable series. Now, it is a mixed media thing, so it spans light novels, manga, anime, live action. So it spans a lot. It's a pretty popular franchise. A lot of people in America don't know it that well for some reason. But in Japan, you say Patlabor, it's pretty recognizable. Just like if you were to say Gundam, people know exactly what you're talking about. The anime, like I said, is kind of media mix. So the series don't necessarily overlap, meaning that like what happens in the first series, first OVA, doesn't necessarily happen in the second or third television series. So it's whatever you pick up is whatever you get. They're still all good, again, except for the third movie. They're all still pretty good. The premise is that in the very near future, we're talking within the next 15, 20 years, there's these labors, things called mechas called labors that help with construction, civil construction, just various odd jobs that require a suit that gives you strength. And they can be in various sizes. They can be aquatic, land, whatever. Military, you get the idea. So As is wont with new technology, what happens to it? It gets criminalized, so they create the Patlabors, which are patrol units. And there's a Unit 1 and a Unit 2. The series devotes its time to Unit 2. And it's a collection of misfits piloting and transporting these mecha and also solving crimes. And it's both fun, it's a lot of action, it's good mecha. And one of the things about the mecha in this anime is that it's approachable mecha. By that I mean it's actually something that you can see and just about anybody climbing into the pilot seat and piloting this mecha. It's not like a Gundam where it's a special Gundam and it has 20 gazillion different weapons and stuff like that. This is something that you could actually theoretically make, honestly, and it's very approachable. It is also directed by Oshii, who has done a lot of stuff. He did Ghost in the Shell. If you know who he is, then you know you're in for a treat. He directed a lot of the Patlabor stuff, particularly the movies. So it is not only a fun anime to watch, a very good action mecha anime. It's a well done anime. So again, everything's pretty good except for the third movie, which unfortunately focuses on a couple of very minor characters who are police detectives. And while they deserve their movie, they didn't deserve that movie. Also, there's some stuff that has not been released into America yet. Ugh. Anyway, so definitely watch Patlabor. At number 6, we have the anime movie, A Silent Voice. It's a really good movie, but it's a heartbreaker. Okay, you're going to be upset in this movie. There is very little about this movie that is through the course of the movie, and at the end, you get the ending that you get. But it's a very sad movie, and the reason why it's sad is because it exposes a couple things about Japanese culture in terms of bullying, and how it's kind of accepted and kind of not, and how the Japanese culture treats people with handicaps, in this case, a young lady who is deaf. The main character is a bully. It spends the part of his life being a bully to this deaf girl. And as a result, a lot of things happen, and he is called out for it, and the rest of his life is pretty much ruined. No one wants to deal with him because they identify him as a bad person, even though they themselves kind of went along with it. So anyway, the movie starts with the main character about to commit suicide, like legit standing on the edge of the bridge and ready to jump in. Like you spend a whole 5 minutes watching him wrap up the little details in his life that he needs to wrap up right before he jumps off the bridge. The rest of the movie is about him trying to say that he's sorry before he goes on with his life of loneliness and solitude, because he knows he's not a good person. That's the other part of it. He himself is not sympathetic to himself. He knows he's a piece of garbage. The poor girl, the deaf girl is, very sweet, but she has to deal with a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's just one scene after another, just like, oh my God, please be happy. Oh my God, oh my God. The animation in this movie is really good, particularly the background animation. It's a very real feel. It's a slice of life anime. There's a particular scene in the last quarter of the movie where you're going to be on the edge of your seat. You're going to be going, please God, no, please God, no, please God, no. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Watch it. Just know that it's a bit of a tearjerker, and it's going to make you feel bad, and you're going to, at the end of it, hopefully you'll learn a lesson. Like how not to be a jerk, but I don't feel like I'm giving too much away by saying that. But definitely give this movie a watch. Just have some tissues nearby. Okay, the movie we have at number 5 that popped in my head, it was, of course, Grave of the Fireflies. So, Grave of the Fireflies deals with a World War II story about a 14-year-old boy and his very young younger sister, who's maybe 4 or 5 years old, and how they try to live on their own at the end of the war, like at the very end of the war and post-war Japan. It is an incredibly sad movie. A lot of people like to joke about how sad it makes them. It's no joke. It will make you sad. You will need tissues, and you're going to need to watch it about 3 or 4 times to get the full impact of it. There's a lot going on here. Even I've been watching this movie for years now, for like almost a couple decades, and I just recently came across a new way of looking at it, and it just opened my eyes to other things that were going on as well. So this is very much a layered movie. This is very important. It's based on a short story, semi-autobiographical, by a guy named Nausicaa. The short story is of the same name, Grave with the Fireflies. And, yeah, it... so the brother and sister lose their mother early on in the movie to American firebombing of their town. And it's a series of bad choices, of misunderstandings, and things that lead them to live in a cave and to slowly starve, to live in poverty, and to basically give up. I'm getting depressed talking about this movie, so this is all I'm going to say about it. If you watch anime, you call yourself an otaku, or you just like anime in general, even if it's just a couple different titles, you have to watch this movie. You have to. And that's it. At number 4 is Wings of Hanamaki, or Royal Space Force Wings of Hanamaki. This is Gainax's first real effort at making an anime. And boy, is it an amazing first effort. The animation is top notch. You've got a lot of, hey, it's that guy's in the animation industry jumping in there and pulling this off. It was not very well received commercially, but critically over the years, everybody, you watch it and you love it. I've watched it. I've been meaning to watch this for a very long time now. I just recently got to watch it for the first time. Loved it. This is an amazing anime. It shows you the love that Gainax puts into anime. And for those of you who are not familiar with the history of Gainax is full of people, or was full of people, who were in love with the genre and wanted it to be accessible to everyone. And they were just, they embraced their geekiness, their otaku-ness, and they just said, this is who we are, this is the world, let's, instead of doing something and being alone, let's do something and try and grab as many people as we can and make them otaku as well. So this is their first effort. The story is quite simply on a Earth that is not Earth. It's basically human beings. It looks like it's set like in what we would call the 1960s, 70s, early 70s maybe. And it's revolving around how one nation is trying to create a rocket to send the first man into space and orbit around the planet. And it is an amazing story. They contacted NASA, and when you watch the movie, you're just like, wow, that looks like a test footage from NASA, and it is. It's a direct, like they watched it and they said, okay, let's animate that, and they put that in there. And it's just, the characters are very relatable. Religion is involved, and like how that can impact people. Why do you do things? Why are we trying to be better? It's just a wonderful little movie, encapsulated movie. We talked about this at the Weekly Dig, much like the Grave of the Fireflies. If you go over to Geek Archaeology and look through the videos there, you'll see that we talked about it. If you want to know more about it, go there. And but really, just watch it. It's a lot of fun. Just watch it. Watch it. At number 3, we have Cowboy Bebop. No list is complete without Cowboy Bebop, it seems. But no, really, this is a very well-built show. This is a well-built anime. Everything top to bottom is just, it's just good. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a good, solid anime. It has a really good, interesting story. Which uses other stories to tell its main story. You have an interesting cast of characters. You have a data dog that's fairly intelligent called Ein. You have a computer hacker named Ed. You have a woman who could be called a villainess, but not really, Faye Valentine. You have Jed, who captains the Bebop, the spaceship they all live on. And, of course, there's Spike Spiegel, the bounty hunter extraordinaire. And this group just kind of goes around the solar system, capturing bounties and, making money off that. Meanwhile, in the background, there's this overarching story about Spike Spiegel and a former friend of his in a crime syndicate called the Red Dragons named Vicious, and the fact that Spike tried to steal Vicious' girlfriend Julia away from him and leave the syndicate. Spike wound up having to try and fake his own death, and then the syndicate realizes, and Vicious realizes that Spike is still alive, and so they periodically butt heads until, of course, there's the last final confrontation. It is, the trope is very much Western, but a lot of other genres come in. You got a lot of noir in there, which is really, really cool. You have kind of weird things going. This is like about traveling in space and stuff like that. It's definitely science fiction, but they have like things that look like handguns that look like just regular 45s and things like that. So you're not looking at like Space Dandy or anything like that, where it's just lasers and whatever, shoot 'em up, kind of bang bang kind of thing. There's some thought behind it. There's a moodiness that fits the noir aspect of it. It's just a well-built anime. And there's, like I said, from top to bottom, Yoko Kanno does the music for it. And the music is so good that they make multiple albums off of the Cowboy Bebop franchise. The movies are okay. I've never played video games. But the series itself is just... it's one of those things where non-anime fans enjoy this kind of a thing. Oh, and that's the other part of it, is that within Cowboy Bebop, if you pay a close enough attention, you're going to find Easter eggs from other Western movies in there. Trust me, keep an eye out for them. It's pretty cool. At number 2 is one of my favorite cyberpunk stories of all time. This is it. For me, it's one of my favorite cyberpunk stories. Ghost in the Shell, again, a creation of Masamune Ishiro, who did Dominion Tank Police, and also, like I said before, Baku and the Puma Girls from Dominion Tank Police are in Ghost in the Shell, the movie. This is another one of those where I say pretty much the entire franchise, except for Ghost in the Shell SAC 2045, which is on Netflix, is pretty good. I just didn't like that outing of it. Part of it is because the animation is not what I liked, and the storyline was pretty weak. I thought pretty weak. But anyway, Ghost in the Shell is not an action franchise. It sounds like it is. You see a lot of AMVs and like clips of it where there's like really good choreographed animated action fight scenes, gunplay, the whole 9 yards. But that's not what the series is about. The series is very intellectual. We're going to be talking about Ghost in the Shell in the movie over the Weekly Dig in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. But basically, the franchise revolves around a group called Section 9, Public Section 9. And what they do is they do counterterrorism, intel, that kind of stuff. And they have a collection of skills. You have a couple of cyborgs. You have Bao Tao, who has a lot of military ranger experience. You have Motoko, who is the leader of Section 9, or the co-leader, I should say. And she is also a full cyborg, like Bato is. You have Togusa, who is actually my favorite character out of all of them, who is the least cybernetically enhanced out of all of them, and he's a solid cop, and he's actually an enjoyable character. You have Boma, you have a couple other guys who are just, kind of like demolition experts, IT expert, or not IT, but computer hacker, Yakuza expert. You get the idea. It's a whole mixed bag of people, and they're supported by these sentient tank robots called Tachikomas. And if you look at the design of Tachikoma and you look at the designs, the tank designs, 2 tank designs in Dominion Tank Police, you're going to realize that the Tachikomas are directly involved, their design comes directly from Dominion Tank Police. It's kind of cool. The music, generally speaking, is done by Yoko Kanno again. So you got an amazing score, which is really worth buying the albums. It's Yoko Kanno anyway, because she's a goddess when it comes to the music. Like I said, it's very intellectual. The first the first series deals with the idea that corporations are hiding cures, and in this case, it's about cybersclerosis, which is a sort of a more cybernetic form of MS that people with cyber brains can get. The second season is basically about the individual 11 and how one person wants to have everybody in the world become just digitized, and that's the way to peace and enlightenment. And to do that, he wants to create a nuclear war. Guy's name's Kuze, by the way. The movies also are very esoteric. They're very thoughtful. Again, it's not a whole lot of action. It's a whole lot of exposition. So be prepared to think as you watch this show. Again, it's one of my favorite shows. If you read Cyberpunk, particularly if you read Neuromancer by Gibson, you're really going to identify with Ghost in the Shell. So watch it. But again, just know that SAC 2045 is not that good. Arise is kind of a reboot almost, and it's sort of a telling of pre-Section 9, but I call it a reboot. It's not that bad. The live-action movie with Scarlett Johansson was a disappointment. You don't need to see that as part of the franchise. Don't worry about that. But otherwise, enjoy Ghost in the Shell. And at number 1 is my personal favorite almost of all time. I believe it is still number 1 on my favorites list. That may change when I'm done with all the new anime that I'm throwing in there. But still, it's one of my favorites, is Mobile Suit Gundam Year 80, War in the Pocket. This is a Gundam anime that was made on the 10th anniversary of the ending of the Mobile Suit Gundam original series. It's a side story, of course, as many of the Gundam stories in the Universal Century are. This one involves Side 6, which is kind of neutral territory. It's at the end of the 1 year war. It hasn't really chosen sides until this point. And what happened was that Side 6 is claiming neutrality, but they're allowing the Federation to house a experimental new Gundam on their side, and the Zeons find out about it and run a covert operation in an effort to destroy it. The Zeon team is a crack team. They're all, as we know, Zeon pilots are not schlubs. They're pretty good at it. And at this point in the war, anyone who's surviving in Zeon is pretty much a veteran. So this is a crack team that's going into Side 6. They're not really looking to destroy Side 6. They just want to destroy that particular Gundam. The unfortunate part is that, of course, the team doesn't really succeed. And the second half is about the remaining one survivor of that team named Bernie, who's actually kind of a noob. And he learns that Zeon is going to just go ahead and nuke Side 6 just for the sake of it. And, of destroying the Gundam and punishing Side 6 for taking the Federation side. And Bernie figures out that if he can destroy the Gundam, then they won't have any reason to bomb the side. And so he goes on a mission to find the new Gundam and destroy it. He befriends a local, a kid named Al. This kid is a kid. He's like 11, 12 years old, and he's, like any other kid. War machines are interesting, they're fun, and he's thinking about war and all this stuff. He's pretty far removed from the warfare that's going on because his side is neutral. But as he goes through his relationship with Bernie, he's learning more and more about war and how ugly it is. The ending is incredibly sad. And in the last episode, you are literally just like, at the beginning of the last episode, you know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to end. And you're just sitting through the whole episode going, oh God, this is going to suck. Oh yeah, this sucks so bad. Oh God, oh God. But it's so good because it tells a compelling war story, and it's very much an anti-war story. I can't say enough about this series. I could go on for the next 60 minutes about it, but I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to tell you of all the ones on here on the list, this is the one that you really should watch. It's really that good. Okay, so that was the list of 10 anime that happened to be in my head on December 22nd, ranked from 10th place to 1st place. I hope you enjoyed that list. Just to let you know, any anime that was on that list, I fully recommend for you to watch, and I hope you do watch them, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any comments or questions about any of them, please put them down below, and I'll try and answer them for you. As always, come by and see us at the Weekly Dig on Saturdays at 8 p.m., where we talk about specific anime and then we talk about anime news. So stop on by and see us, and we have the chat function up so you can go in there and throw in a question or two or a comment, whatever, and we would love to see you there. Okay, so that is the last video of 2020. Hopefully 2021 will be a better year. Again, I'll be showing some just odds and ends kind of stuff during the month of January, so keep checking back. At the end of January, I'll let you guys know what the 2021 season looks like and when it'll start. And in the meantime, please wear your face masks, social distance, because I want you guys to be safe. I know the vaccinations are coming. Make sure you get yours, but still, mask, separate. So that way that in the future, maybe, just maybe, you and I can meet face to face. And wouldn't that be great? That would be awesome. Okay, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, and I hope you do, because if you do, we reach 250 people, then we get free digital sushi. Hit the subscribe button. All right, this video has gone on long enough, so I'm just going to say the following. Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys either at Geek Archaeology or in the new year. Okay, have a good one.